Next year is projected to be the largest tax refund season ever, and we're going to be giving back refunds out of the tariffs because we've taken in literally trillions of dollars, and we're going to be giving a nice dividend to the people, in addition to reducing debt. As you know, I inherited a lot of debt, but it's peanuts compared to the kind of numbers we're talking about. So we're going to be making a dividend to the people, and additionally, we're going to be able to reduce debt. And as time goes by, over the next 2, 3, 4 years, those numbers are going to go up. And I believe that at some point in the not too distant future, you won't even have income tax to pay, because the money we're taking in is so great, it's so enormous, that you're not going to have income tax to pay. Whether you get rid of it or just keep it around for fun or have it really low, much lower than it is now, but you won't be paying income tax. Next year,
Donald Trump caved so bad, he's going to refund tariffs, absolutely surrendering the trade war that he started. Now, Donald Trump, as you know, recently paused all tariffs for every country except China. And immediately after, all his supporters came rushing out and said, "Art of the deal. Donald Trump just isolated China. This was brilliant. He's playing chess, not checkers." Then today, Donald Trump backs off China and eliminates the tariffs on electronics and semiconductors and a multitude of products, the vast majority of the items we import from China. On top of that, he made it retroactive to April 5th, so companies are going to be eligible for refunds of tariffs. The tariffs that are supposed to replace our income tax, and those tariffs that were supposed to bring jobs back to this country, especially semiconductors, which are now exempt from tariffs. All that Donald Trump told you, he lied. And he had you out here covering for him and trying to argue for him, and he's made you look like a fool. So how do you spin that today?
we don't need their milk. We got a lot of milk. We need their cars. You know, they make 20% of our cars. We don't need that. I'd rather make them in Detroit. We don't need their lumber. We have massive fields of lumber. We basically protect Canada. I love the Canadian people. They're great. But we're spending hundreds of billions a year to protect it, doing it because of habit. And we're doing it because we like our neighbors, and we've been good neighbors. But we can't do it forever.
2 hours later.
I am announcing Canada will be responding to the U.S. trade action with 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods.
Dollar for dollar, tariff for tariff. The federal government has my full support to hit back and hit back hard.
It would be hard to think of a more elegant way to reduce prosperity this fast. Let's talk about Apple. The notion was we were going to bring back all those great jobs. The average Apple assembly person in China makes $500 a month. The average Apple employee focusing on more high-value things like design, store management, makes $200,000 a year here. We want to wear Nikes. We don't want to make them. We have outsourced low-wage jobs overseas such that we can create more profits, more investments, and create higher-wage jobs. If these tariffs hold, your iPhone's going to go from $1,000 to $2,300. To make an iPhone in the U.S., it would cost $3,500. As a result, the threats of these tariffs take Apple stock down the value of Walmart in 3 days. If these tariffs hold, 80% of toys under the Christmas tree are from China. So 90% of U.S. households are budget constrained. So we're talking about half the number of toys. We're talking about a destruction in shareholder value such that your parents can't retire as quickly. And we're talking about the entire world rerouting their supply chain around brand America, which quite frankly right now is toxic uncertainty, so they can bypass a series of unpredictable, epileptic, sclerotic decisions where we finally need to acknowledge we have someone at the wheel of the global economy that is blackout drunk right now.
Let's talk about the two wars you didn't vote for, didn't ask for, or are paying for anyway. War 1, the tariffs. Well, he put them back, quietly. No big signing ceremony this time, because everybody remembers how the last one went. No liberation parade, just they're back. And the prices are back. And nobody in the White House wants to say the word Smoot Hawley, because that's the last time a president decided he personally understood global trade better than every economist alive. and it helped turn a recession into a Great Depression. War II, 5 months. 5. Started February 28th, supposedly to stop a nuclear weapon. Then it was about the Strait of Hormuz. Then it was about missiles. Then it was back to nukes. The goalpost moves so many times, they should unionize. And what has it done? Closed off 20% of the world's oil supply. The largest supply shock in recorded history. Bigger than the 73 embargo. Bigger than the Gulf War. Brent crude spiked past $120 a barrel. It's still sitting near 90. Global growth got knocked down. Inflation's up almost a half a point just from this. In America. It's worse everywhere else. And who's paying? Not him. You. Every gas station, every grocery bill, every country that didn't start this, didn't want this, can't afford this. Vietnam's got panic buying at the pumps. Small island nations are getting crushed by oil import bills. They can't control. That's not blowback. That's a Tuesday now. And here's the punchline. Iran isn't even negotiating anymore. They looked at the whole thing and said, quote, "We will accompany him until his term ends." They're not even trying to win. They're just trying to outlast him. 3 more years of denial, ambiguity, and strategic patience, they called it. 3 more years of you at the pump watching the numbers spin. Now, after 5 months of bombs not working, guess what he's going back to? Sanctions. The thing he mocked, the thing he said proved 50 years of failed policy. Other presidents were too weak, he said. I'm going to finish it with force. And now it's back to sanctions. The exact tool he swore it didn't work. Except now it's on top of the war, not instead of it. One senior sanction expert who ran this exact playbook under Obama put it plainly. The president never even said what winning looks like. No clear objective, just vibes and escalation. So here's where we land. 2 wars, self-started, self-escalated, still unresolved, while the bill gets mailed to working people here and the entire rest of the world abroad. Not because Iran attacked us, not because some ally begged us into a trade war, because he decided to. That's not strength, that's not a deal. That's the most expensive, least accountable improv show in modern American history, and the world stuck watching it, one gas station receipt at a time. And that is Straight Talk. Thanks.
Trump's tariffs just hit a wall, but Americans have been here before. Welcome back to the Freedom Room, where we go beyond the headlines to understand the history and the political forces shaping America. Today we'll be talking about something that can sound boring until you realize it can affect the prices of products, American businesses, international trade, and even the balance of power in Washington. Tariffs. President Donald Trump has made tariffs one of the defining tools of his economic and foreign policy strategy. But in 2026, his tariff strategy has collided with something even more powerful than another country imposing its own trade barriers, the American legal system. In February, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the emergency law Trump had relied on did not give the president authority to impose the disputed tariffs. The administration has since continued pursuing tariffs through other legal authorities, while companies and the government remain involved in disputes over billions of dollars in tariffs payment and potential refunds. But here's the part that makes this story fascinating. America has been fighting about tariffs since the earliest days of the Republic. This isn't simply a Trump story. It is a story about American workers, farmers, businesses, presidents, Congress, and one of the enormous questions: who should have the power to decide what American taxes when goods enter the country? will take you back more than a century to another moment when tariffs became one of the most controversial economic decisions in American history. Other countries also depend heavily on access to American markets. So when the United States impose tariffs, the consequences don't just necessarily stop at the border. They can trigger negotiations, retaliations, changes in supply chain, and political pressure from businesses and consumers. Current estimates from the Tax Foundation indicate that the effective US tariff rates remain historically higher by modern standards. And there is another twist. The Supreme Court's February 2026 decision did not mean that Trump tariffs disappeared. Other tariff authorities remain in use, and the administration has pursued alternative legal mechanisms. That means the fight isn't simply about whether tariffs are economically useful, it is also about the separation of power. How much authority can Congress give the president? How much discretion should a president have over international trade? And when does an economic decision become a question of constitutional power? Those questions are much bigger than Donald Trump. They will matter to future presidents too.
So today, Trump declared a national emergency because Ontario set a 25% tariff on all electricity coming into the US, which affects 3 US states in a big way: New York, Minnesota, and Michigan, which of course also has Trump now issuing retaliatory tariffs again against Canada. This is right out of Trump's playbook. Create the problem and then declare a national emergency, and then solve the problem so you can nominate yourself as a hero in the situation. But most people can see right through this. Many of us are exhausted at the chaos here in the US. Many people all over the world are exhausted at the chaos that this president is creating. And just as a reminder, Canada has been one of our biggest allies historically, and leave it to Trump to trash that entirely.
Who's excited to have a massive trade war with other countries? Hi everyone, if you're new, welcome. If you're not, you know what fucking time it is, bitch! It's time for the Daily Scrape! To make this easier for you bitches to understand, basically, Trump wants to change the way the US trades with other countries. Right now, some countries charge high tariffs on US products, meanwhile the United States charges lower tariffs in return. Trump thinks this is unfair, so he signed an executive order to match what other countries charge us. So for example, say India were to charge a 100% tax on US motorcycles, the United States would charge India a 100% tax on their motorcycles. But here's where the issue lies. The United States, historically, over time, has lowered our tariffs to benefit consumers and businesses here in the United States. Lower tariffs means buying products from around the world more affordable for Americans. Now, what Trump fails to understand, and I'm going to try to explain this to you guys the best way that I can, many countries have value-added taxes, which is basically an extra sales tax, but Trump thinks that these value-added taxes are unfair. But in actuality, they're just a part of a different tax structure. For example, in the United States, we have lower tariffs, but higher corporate taxes. Whereas in Europe, they have higher tariffs, but lower corporate taxes. So in the grand scheme of things, it balances itself out. And I know tariffs and corporate taxes sound a little confusing, so let me put it this way. Option A is other countries have a lemonade stand and charge their customers more money to purchase lemonade. Option B, in the United States, our lemonade stands pay higher taxes to our cities. But in return, they're able to keep their lemonade prices lower, so they're able to attract more customers. The bottom line, having low tariffs in the US has allowed businesses here to flourish, because it keeps prices affordable for consumers, which attracts more customers. Now, why is this a big deal? Well, first of all, it can start an all-out trade war. If the US raises tariffs on other countries can retaliate and make the tariffs on US products higher. It could also increase inflation, causing prices to skyrocket here, and people already are barely able to afford a carton of eggs. But ultimately, higher tariffs would lead Americans paying more money for products from other countries. So yeah, remember when you Trumpies said that you were voting for Trump because you wanted the price of gas and other products to go down? Right. Well, you can shove that idea right back up your ass, because it looks like we're going to be pinching pennies here in the US for a while.
Trump is a jackass. He is. Our alliances, truth, trust, tariffs, the grift. I'm sorry to be, I don't want to lose you by being too flippant. I mean, this is the guy who calls me new scum, okay? The President of the United States, he's 80 years old. I write in the book about an 8-year-old that used to call me new scum. The bully of Baltimore. The President of the United States. You know, the guy dresses, cosplays as the Pope and Superman. Picture on the side of Mount Rushmore, all caps.
Don't forget the AI videos. They're very unsettling.
And the AI videos, and you want unsettling, you're in the middle of a war. 13 human beings, American soldiers died, 140 maimed. Lives will maybe never recover. And he's out there with video game images, AI-generated images. This is madness.
I don't think people realize how quickly Trump is tanking the economy. When Trump took office, he inherited the strongest economy for an incoming president since George W. Bush. Job growth was booming, wages were up, inflation was down, and the stock market was climbing. Fast forward to today, and Trump's tariffs and his economic agenda have thrown everything in reverse. The new jobs report is brutal. The economy added just 22,000 jobs in August, about 50,000 jobs short of expectations. But the revisions for June and July were even worse. For the first time in 4 years, since the last time Trump was president, the economy actually lost jobs. And it's hitting some of our most important industries the hardest. Over the last 3 months, we've lost 31,000 manufacturing jobs, 13,000 mining jobs, and about 10,000 construction jobs. Meanwhile, the Trump administration is raiding factories and stripping legal status from 1 million immigrants, which in their absurd theory was supposed to help the most vulnerable American workers. But black unemployment is now at 7.5%, the highest in 4 years, and youth unemployment for 16 to 24-year-olds is at 10.5%. And it's not just jobs. In July, we also saw one of the biggest monthly spikes in inflation, which is now at its fastest pace in 5 months. And families are feeling it, with back-to-school supplies up 7.3% this year. And to put the cherry on top, after Trump inherited 12 straight quarters of economic growth, our economy actually shrank in the first quarter of this year, and has remained slow as consumers brace for even higher prices. A lot of Americans held their noses and voted for Trump, thinking that he'd fix the economy. But like everything else with him, his thirst for power and control has led to utter chaos. And unless we call it out now, he'll continue to lie and drive our economy off the cliff. So share this video.
It's almost like not written by smart people. And what they do, they don't even talk about that. Your question is very basic. That was the first question I asked also to make you feel good. I said, what about all the money that we've taken in? Sir, they don't discuss that. How crazy is that?
What you're saying is, are you saying that you don't plan to honor refunds for companies that file for them?
I just told you the answer, right? I told you the answer. It's not discussed. We'll end up being in court for the next 5 years.
I want the Trump supporters to look at this and tell me how they defend it. Donald Trump is ripping you, me, and every American off, and they just don't care. These are companies expecting tariff refunds. You have Amazon, $600 million, Apple, $2.2 billion, Ford, $1.3 billion, Walmart, $2.4 billion, and the list goes on of different companies. They're getting a refund for Donald Trump's tariffs that were declared illegal. You know how much me, you, everybody around you are getting in tariff refunds? $0.00. We, the American people, lost money because of Trump's tariffs, but we get nothing. These companies with CEOs friendly to Trump, they get a bunch of money. The rich get richer in Donald Trump's America. The poor get poorer.
Do you have to refund $175 billion?
Think of it, Peter. Very fair question. They take months and months to write an opinion, and they don't even discuss that point. We've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars, not millions, hundreds of billions of dollars. And so I said, well, what happens to all the money that we took in? It wasn't discussed. Wouldn't you think they would have put one sentence in there saying that keep the money or don't keep the money, right? I guess it has to get litigated for the next 2 years.
What you're saying is, are you saying that you don't plan to honor refunds for companies that file for them?
I just told you the answer, right? I told you the answer. It's not discussed. We'll end up being in court for the next 5 years.
So when you hear the word Trump's tariffs, don't think only about prices at the store or arguments between America and other countries. Think about the much larger American story. For generations, America have decided or debated whether the country should protect domestic industries or embrace freer international trade. They have argued over whether tariffs strengthen Americans' workers or increase costs. They have watched presidents and Congress fight over who should control economic policies. And now, in 2026, the Supreme Court has entered the story as well. The administration has already issued tariff measures using different authorities, while legal dispute over tariffs collection and refunds continue. The lesson from history isn't that tariffs are automatically good.